So I did a video a couple of weeks back where I showed the bike unladen, and I promised I'd follow that up with one that is where it's fully laden with all the various bags I've used while bike packing. So that's today's video, and as you can see, the bike looks enormously different. I'll stick a photo in of the unladen one here in comparison. There's quite a lot of different bags. I'll bring you through them one at a time, and this is very similar to the kit I used for Scotland. It's actually got one addition, which is a new idea I had this morning, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But I'll now flip the camera around and you can see that side, so we can focus on them. Okay, so let's have a look at what we have here, and maybe if I work from front to back. So the GoPro pole you've seen earlier, this is a new addition this year, and what it is it's a pair of bags that hang off the front of the handlebars. There's two bags that are attached to each other. They're strapping on, as you can see here. I have this added to pull them up so they stay well clear of the light, which is underneath there in case they end up cycling at night. They have a fair bit of capacity. I don't put a lot of weight in them, so I basically use them for things like pot noodles, the styrofoam mat I sit on, and also for my waterproofs and fleeces, which are both light, but also it means I can rapidly access them, basically by just unclipping this, and then I can yank them out. So that's a big benefit. Basically, if it starts raining, I can stop very quickly. Then next, on top of the handlebars, we have this small zip bag. I use that to keep the GoPro in actually when I'm cycling, and the spare batteries, because that enables me to switch over quickly, and also my single Bluetooth headphone. I lost the other one of these, that I use for directions where I'm somewhere complicated, like a city where I have to do a lot of turns. So I just get that left, right. So coming back further, the tripod was for today, so I'll take that off. So what we have here is, first of all, on the back carrier itself, I have this waterproof small rucksack. I'll often have swimming gear in this. Oh, sorry, I'd forgotten it's yes, it's waterproof small rucksack. Swimming gear, it expands up to hold quite a lot actually, and that just sits on the back carrier across both the panniers, which hold that pretty well in place. Then I have the main carrying things, which are the two panniers themselves. This black one has the advantage that when you take it off, you can deploy rucksack straps, so then you can wear it like a rucksack, and typically I'll put my most valuable stuff in that, which will include the tent, and so if I'm going off for a short hike or something, I'll be able to take that one. The green one, which is an Ortlab, which is Ortlieb probably, which is by far the best kind of brand of rucksack, but they're quite expensive. I always put that on the outside of the bike, so it's facing traffic, because of course it makes the whole setup a lot more visible if you're coming up behind me. But typically that will be carrying stuff that it would be annoying if somebody robbed it, but I just have to replace it. So my clean clothes, my dirty clothes, sleeping bag, that sort of thing would be in there. Then we have a new addition, which I've just thought of this morning, which that is actually a handlebar bag that I have added to the back of the saddle, and that gives me enough space to carry a couple of cans in. It's far enough clear that my legs don't strike it. And then under it, down here, I have a water bottle bag, which I also have my lock in. So that's there. And then finally, there's this bag that hangs under the crossbar. That always stays on the bike, and basically I carry things like my puncture repair gear in there, a toolkit, cable ties, often chocolate if I need an emergency snack on the side of the road, a little bit of oil, and then whatever else I'm kind of carrying around that particular day that works in that space. So that's the complete kit. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 separate bags there that hold quite a considerable amount of gear between them. Fully packed. I mean, I only use that much now on a multi-day trip where I'm camping. Otherwise I'd be carrying less, because fully packed, that's probably going to be pushing me up to about 35 kilos in weight. Okay, so here we have the bike. I've almost nothing on it at all. There is a couple of exceptions, which are these strips of Velcro tape. I always have a few of them strapped, as they're great for emergency securing if something else breaks, and so they're just being carried there at the moment as spares. But here's the gear, full range, and as you see, there's quite a lot going on there. So what we have is the panniers, which will go on the back of the bike. We've got handlebar bags, which obviously go on the front. This will go under the crossbar, on top of the crossbar, and these two go onto the saddle. And then finally I have a waterproof rucksack that I can throw on the top of the back carrier itself. Well, let's put all those on and have a look at them. I first tried to do this video on a very windy day, which meant the sound was unintelligible. However, I'm going to overdub this video, which shows me putting the various items on one at a time, starting off with the two panniers going on the back. So with the green one is an Ortlieb pannier. They've kind of got the best of this sort of gear, but they're very expensive. Kind of worth buying slowly as a bit of an investment, one at a time. Completely waterproof so far in my experience. So this black one is the cheaper one that folds out into a rucksack. It's about a third of the equivalent cost of an Ortlieb one. It leaked on me once, I think, because I hadn't sealed it up properly. But in fact, I've used it for about 6,000 kilometers. It's called 4Rider. So 6,000 kilometers of touring off it means it is pretty damn reliable. I think that one error was my error, and it was really torrential rain that day as well. So they have clips in both cases that secure onto those cross struts on the back carrier. Once they're on properly, they're not going to come off. Although I've also had the Ortlieb one fall off when I hadn't quite put it on properly, because those clips hadn't closed fully. And that was in Scotland, coming down a steep hill. It suddenly bounced off into the middle of the road. So you obviously don't want that to be happening. So next up we have the bag that goes under the crossbar. That's used to hold all the heavier gear, so the tools. Sometimes I have water in there, other liquids, the spare tube, puncture repair kit, a load of things like that. It's secured via Velcro straps that go to a buckle on the top. There's a lot of Velcro used in bike packing. It's very useful stuff indeed, and I have extra Velcro roll myself for adding things on. So this one, it's a very narrow bag, so you're limited in terms of what you can put into it, because you don't want it hitting your knees obviously as you're cycling, but it's very useful in terms of the additional weight you can add in there, and you just have to select the items that fit in it. And now we have perhaps the smallest of my bags. This one sits on top of the crossbar and right up against the handlebars. It doesn't hold very much, but it's an extremely useful location because you can get to what's in it pretty quickly. So what I'm normally keeping in there is the GoPro, the spare batteries, my Bluetooth headphones that I use for navigation, some cloths to wipe my hands on in case the chain comes off and I need to wipe oil off, or do similar quick repairs, and often a couple of chocolate bars in case I get a bit hungry and I need a snack. Again, it's a Velcro fastened on bag, two straps running through the crossbar and then another one up onto the handlebars, and once that's into place it's pretty secure. Now we have the first of the two bags that mount in front of the handlebars. These hang from the handlebars and then are secured with buckles to each other. They are shipped, in fact, with a buckle that goes around the handlebar, but I didn't particularly like how securely that held on, so I've replaced those with Velcro straps from my big roll of double-sided Velcro. I'm much happier with that. It's much easier to get a good, secure, tight fit. The one thing to watch as you're putting these on is you don't want them putting too much pressure on your brake or gear cables, because those are also, in my case, going over the front of the handlebars. So that requires a certain bit of care with placement. The ends of the big bag roll up. Once they're rolled up, it's very waterproof. It's been in torrential rain and it hasn't leaked. So that's a pretty good bag. Actually, it holds quite a lot. The shape is a little bit awkward. It's kind of like a cylinder, but it's quite good for, as I said, stuffing very lightweight clothes in. The smaller of the two bags then attaches to the front of the big one, and then there's buckles that come from the big one onto the small one, but in fact the right way to put these on is to loop them so they're also going around the handlebars, and some of the weight of the small bag then is being taken onto the handlebars itself. It rolls down from the top, again very waterproof once it's rolled down, and I keep very, very light stuff in that, mostly my polystyrene sitting mat and pot noodles, both of which are very bulky but actually don't weigh very much at all. Now we have two additional small bags that hang on off the seat post. The first of these is missing from the earlier part of the video. In fact, I got it, I think, with the toolkit originally. It's not a great bag, but instead of the toolkit, I use it to carry a very small head net for midges and a head torch. And basically the idea with that is if I pull up somewhere where it's either dark or where there's a lot of midges around, I can quickly get at that item that I probably want to get at really quickly. Midges are terrible if you're trying to camp or even just unpack stuff when you hit thick amounts of them. And then the second of the two bags, this does appear earlier in the video. This is the water bottle bag. It's actually meant to hang off the handlebars, but it doesn't fit with everything else I had. But I realized I can actually put it hanging off the saddle and attached to that thick post going to the back wheel. So it hanging there, it'll hold one of my 750 milliliter plastic bottles of water, and I can also use it, in fact, to put my very lightweight bicycle lock, which makes that quite accessible when I'm stopping if I need to quickly use it. And then finally we have this waterproof rucksack that I got a few years ago. So waterproof, you can actually use it to carry water. It will sit very happily on the back carrier between those two other bags, and basically it's useful for being enormously flexible and fairly easy to access quickly. So I'll often use that, for instance, to bring into a shop, fill it up with food and then chuck it on the back carrier. Otherwise it tends to carry my swimming gear and my toweling robe, but it fits pretty well. So that's the complete setup of the bike, again almost identical to how you saw it in the previous video. And again, this has been good for doing bike packing around Scotland for a period of 30 days, so it carries plenty. So as you probably noticed here, I'm not particularly talking about brand names. The only one I think I mentioned in that was the Ortlieb one. Basically, Ortlieb are very good. You pay a lot more for them for equivalent items, but they're very robust, last year's, and are waterproof and are easy to put on and take off. I have two of their panniers currently, and perhaps as I get richer, I'll build up the rest of this collection. On that topic, I think the thing is, when you're starting out, you're going to want quite a lot of different bags, so it's going to be a question of using what you already have, and also probably buying on the basis of whatever's cheapest and getting whatever amount of time you can over that. You won't want to spend an absolute fortune on a basic setup, and then possibly over a number of years you can do what I do, which is basically buy yourself one or maybe two nice items every year, so that after 10 years you've got quite a lot of actually quite good stuff. As with other aspects of bike packing, I think It's important not to overthink gear and not to worry too much about it. Just use what you have and what you can easily obtain. Have a go at it and see if it's the thing for you.